and welcome to another devlog of our multiplayer cave game. These 2 weeks have been just amazing. First thing we did is we changed the player sprite because the old one had some issues. First of all, it was actually just a placeholder. We just yoinked it from another game of ours called Society. The sprite fitted our game reasonably well, so we just kept it. The second issue was that the player was too fat and chunky, no offense of course. It felt heavy and immobile. So we changed it to this guy. It's only 1 block tall, so it naturally feels much faster and lighter. Then I added some cool squish and squash animations. When the player jumps, it gets thinner, and when it lands, it gets wider. That totally worked the first time. And the second, I don't know what's happening in this clip. Finally, I think it makes the player feel much better. I also added some cool dust particles. Now, I love it when games have great movement, and our game didn't quite have a good movement system. So here are my 3 tips to make the movement of your game feel better. First, make your player fast. Especially if you're making a platformer, it just feels right for the player to be quick. Second, make your jump height depend on how long you hold space. It makes jumping much more precise. And if you're interested, this is the code I used. And my last tip, implement coyote time. It's a common technique used in platformers, which makes it so you can jump a few frames after you jumped off a platform. In this clip, I am really exaggerating it, but hopefully you can see what it does. And after these changes, we have a pretty nice player controller. Now, just recently I learned that Unity has 2D lights. So I spent a few hours implementing URP so I can use them. URP is basically a pre-built scriptable render pipeline. I have no idea what that means, but we have cool lights. Next thing I added was biome backgrounds. I made them follow the player, and that's already looking much better. Oh, and I added some mining particles to make the pickaxe feel juicier. Now, we're making a multiplayer game, so obviously we should test it very frequently, which we didn't do. It was time for a playtest with friends. And surprisingly, it went really well. There were almost no bugs, and we got some great feedback. One thing that was super annoying was player collision. In some games, player collision makes the gameplay more interesting, but in some, it just doesn't work. You see, this is a cave game, everything is cramped, so you don't have a lot of space. So yeah, I removed player collisions. Another request was to make blocks be mineable by holding the mouse button. I don't know why I didn't add this before, because spamming the left click was really annoying. After I fixed all of the bugs and issues, it was time to add something. Something that would change the biomes. Our game previously had only 4 biomes. All of them were boring. It was time to add some more. But first, I'd like to explain how our biomes function. Here I have a cool graph with all of our biomes. On the x-axis we have temperature, and on the y-axis we have moisture. The higher the temperature, the hotter the biome. You get the idea. Basically, at the start of the game we generate 2 maps, one for the temperature and one for the moisture. And then we can easily just look at this table and see what biome this exact block belongs to. But after I added this feature, I saw that the cobblestone biome took up like 80% of the map. The problem was that this perlinoise that I used had a lot of values cramped up in the middle, which made the cobble biome be 10 times more frequent. I used methods like histogram equalization and this thing which I'm not gonna pronounce. I have left an article in the description if you're interested, but I have almost no idea what any of this does. But somehow I fixed it and the cobblestone biome has shrunken. So it was finally time to add more biomes. I made a rough sketch with all of the biomes and started working. The first biome that I worked on was the ice biome. I added some icicles and snow particles. By the way, the icicles aren't classified as blocks, so you can just pass through them. Then I worked on the crystal biome, which in my opinion turned out quite interesting. After that, I added a mushroom biome and upgraded the cobblestone biome texture because we were using Minecraft's cobblestone texture. Hopefully after these changes you can see our game's visual style more clearly. We still haven't made 4 of the biomes that we've planned, but that's for the next devlog. Next week we'll be finally adding some combat and eating mechanics. If you like this devlog, make sure to subscribe and also join our Discord, link in the description. Thanks for watching and see you later.